Maricel Gentile from East Brunswick, New Jersey.
Oh, I'm back with a plan. I got it.
She's the cutest, I can. I'm always running. I'm like energy bunny. So you got to watch out.
Welcome to the Eat Your Content podcast. I'm your host, Rich Herrera. This is your place for all things food and pop culture. Thank you for tuning in. Just a quick reminder to follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and all of your regular social media feeds. And also to follow the podcast, Eat Your Content, on your podcast player of choice. And make sure to hit the like and subscribe button to know when new episodes are coming out. On today's episode, my next guest is a culinary powerhouse whose journey from Manila to New Jersey is nothing short of inspiring. She learned the magic of cooking by her Lola's side in the Philippines, sparking a passion that fueled a 30-year career across every corner of the restaurant industry. You've seen her light up PBS's Table for All and dominate the kitchen on Food Network's Supermarket Stakeout and Buddy's Holiday Recipe Rumble. In 2017, she turned her dream into reality with Maricel's Kitchen, buzzing catering and event space in East Brunswick, New Jersey. Please join me in welcoming the queen of flavor, the thriller from Manila herself, Chef Maricel Gentile. Chef Maricel, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Wow. This is exciting for me.
And it looks like we're recording from your kitchen. It's a beautiful kitchen. We were talking about that just a few minutes ago. It kind of looks like where all the testing happens and all the magic happens there.
Yes. That's where I feed my family sometimes.
Well, it's very beautiful kitchen.
Thank you.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about, you've done a lot in the food industry for 30 years. You cooked for a lot of different people, a lot of different companies, and now you are branching off into as an entrepreneur and owning your own business. So I definitely want to talk about that. You are also on Food Network and Hulu on a couple of cooking competition shows. So I definitely want to touch on those things. But before we do all that, I want to learn a little bit more about you and your background. How did you, or when did cooking for you become this passion that you wanted to turn into a career?
Yeah. So I grew up in Manila. So I grew up with my grandmother and my mom, right? So since my mom is a doctor, so I hang out with my grandmother all the time. So she would take me to markets. Then I see how she checks on things and different markets, if she wants seafood, we would go to Manila Bay. Let me tell you that. Or if she has having a birthday, she would buy the pig, the goats, the turkey, all in advance so that she could feed them good feed so that when we do something with them, they're tastier. But I have that craving for the knowledge. I've always looked on the things that she have done. And so growing up, I still cooked. So I remember back home when we have big gatherings, they ask me which platter to use if we're serving something. So one time I was visiting my aunt here in New York, and I was watching TV, and there goes New York Restaurant School. And I told my mom, Ma, I want to attend that one. And my mom's like, really? So at first she says, are you sure? And then I said, very sure. Yes, good enough. She said, yes. I went to New York Restaurant School. I studied, though, restaurant management, not culinary, because I said I want to be serving the people up front. But deep inside me, I really want the culinary. But I got that, so I end up working with restaurants, well-known hotels, and I really have the knack for the food. I always go back in the kitchen and like, oh, how did you do that? How did you make that? And the curiosity doesn't stop. It made me go, and then of course the traveling part of I'm not young, so I've been to many places. So every time I go to a place, I try to attend cooking classes so that I get to really see how they make things authentic. I like authentic things. I'm not into the fusion thing, because right now in my cooking classes, when I teach something, I teach the basic. All right. This is like when I tell them, this is when you eat in a Filipino restaurant, this is what Filipinos eat, and this is how we eat them. Or if you go to Thailand, this is how it is. So that when they say, they tasted Filipino food, they taste the real, authentic Filipino food. Not like somebody put anything on it and it becomes gorgeous. All right, that is beautiful. But for me, I want you to learn and love Filipino cuisine. So that's how it all started.
Yeah. And a lot of people that I've interviewed, they say they started their passion like for you by your Lola's side, like,
Yes,
watching
yes.
her cook and from a young child. So what did your childhood smell like? What are some of the smells that just evoke a memory of good Filipino food that you want to convey to a hungry public?
Oh my gosh. You make me so excited when you ask about Filipino food because it's all the memories I got back when I was younger. It comes back. Like a perfect example would be kare kare, my favorite. And back home, kare kare is a 1 day meal. When you cook it, it takes you at least a day. So we have this stone grinder, which we put fresh peanuts, roasted peanuts, and we grind them and it becomes peanut butter.
Wow.
We roast rice so that it becomes rice flour when we put it in there. So I've seen those steps, and my Lola, she doesn't have measuring cups, measuring spoons. It's all about feeling the food. It's all about the weight from on your palm.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned my cooking. It's visual, it's textural. And that's when, to this day, I would still be able to describe to you what my Lola, how she made this kind of food. Kind of like it's still in my tongue. I could still taste it. So I'm trying to duplicate that when I start cooking. So yeah, we love parties back home. So we are always making good food, a lot of food. We like to entertain. That I guess that's how Filipino hospitality came about, wherein Filipinos love to entertain, bring people and invite them to eat our food. So I think that's that.
Yeah, and a lot of people have said Anthony Bourdain, I think, is one of the biggest proponents that said that Filipino food is a sleeping giant. It's the next big thing. And I'm fortunate enough to live in Jacksonville, Florida, where there's a lot of a big Filipino population in Jacksonville,
Yes.
Florida. So there's a lot of Filipino restaurants, but I haven't been so fortunate in cities that I lived in the past.
Mhm.
So when you hear things like Filipino food is like the next big thing, it's the sleeping giant of food of the culinary world. What does that come to mind for you in terms of how can we, because I'm Filipino too, how can we make our food as mainstream as our other Asian cousins, the Thai restaurants and Chinese and Japanese and those sort of things?
Oh, that's a perfect question because when I opened my business, it all started on me saying, let me show what Filipino cuisine is all about so that when people go out and say, where do you want to go out? Where do you want to eat? Filipino food is part of that choice, right?
Right.
So when Anthony Bourdain, well, first of all, I'm Kapampangan. I'm from Pampanga. So Anthony Bourdain went to Pampanga and actually tasted sisig. And
Mm.
that was his favorite food after that, sisig. And of course, I make a knockout sisig too. I'm Kapampangan, right? And of course, in addition, Gordon Ramsay was in the Philippines 2 weeks ago,
Mm.
and he himself was also Philippine cuisine is the biggest. I think right now the Philippine cuisine is up here because there's a lot of good restaurants that are coming up. All right. Well, the Bear, right?
Yeah.
They featured the Filipino restaurant there.
Yeah.
I am so happy. Yay! Philippine cuisine is right there. And I think it's really growing, it's getting bigger because, first of all, I have to say the ube, our ube treats are being picked up like
Hmm.
crazy. Well, example with Trader Joe's. They're
Hmm.
coming up with ube, milk, ube, everything. So I think the population, the other non-Filipinos are beginning to understand what Filipino cuisine is all about. First of all, we are known in any hospitals, right? All the nurses bring
Yeah.
Filipino food. And
Yeah.
I would always say in my cooking classes, how did you find out a Filipino food? Oh, I work in a restaurant, in a hospital. So this, when we have nurses, they all bring pancit, they bring lumpia, which is a good thing
Hmm.
because we're sharing what our cuisine is all about. But I think right now we're getting up there. People are noticing that Filipino food is awesome. And I tell you, I do chef's table, I do a menu tasting. I just had one even last Friday. People say, wow, this is Filipino food elevated. And I'm so proud because, wow, they're beginning to understand what our cuisine is all about. It's an amazing cuisine. So I'm so happy. It's getting
Yeah,
there.
I was thrilled to because I love the bear watching that show,
Mhm.
and to see a Filipino like the first Michelin starred Filipino restaurant
Yes, yes,
being shown on the bear. And then, like we were talking about ube purple really translates well on Instagram. It's very colorful,
exactly.
and it's so easy to integrate into other foods that a lot of people are saying that it's very photogenic. So I think a lot of people are picking it up on that. But yeah, I mean, sisig is one of my favorites too, and I love Anthony Bourdain when he's
I'll
eating
send
it.
you sisig.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll send you my sisig or come to my cooking studio, please. I would love
yeah.
to experience Marisol's kitchen. Yes,
I would love to come up next time I'm in that area of the country. I will definitely look you
please,
up and check it
please.
out.
Yes,
Um, so speaking of Maricel's Kitchen, so this is a recent venture for you. I think it was opened. I think the formation of it was earlier, but it actually officially opened what in January 24. Is that right?
so I actually decided to do this in 2017.
Yeah.
And then so I quit my corporate job, thank God. And I started in my house, and then I started on a church, and then I rented a space where four chefs are renting it. It didn't work for me. I didn't have the right time for myself. So I ended up looking for another place, which I stayed for 5 years. But again, the business was growing and I needed bigger space. And now I'm so happy with my East Brunswick spot. It's big. It's we do a lot of corporate team building there, and it's so accessible to everything. So yeah, this the business have grown. So
Yeah, so Maricel's Kitchen kind of originated in 2017 out of your house, started as a home-based business, expanded and grew, and then finally in 24, January 24, you had your own space. So
exactly.
talk to me a little bit about, because like I said, you had a 30-year career working in corporate kitchens, working for other people, and then you
Yeah.
transitioned to working for yourself. What were some of the challenges you ran into coming from a job that had like a steady paycheck to now risking it and going out on your own and wondering, okay, if this doesn't work out, bad things might happen financially. What were some of those fears that you had, some of the challenges that you ran into, and how did you overcome those?
Believe you me, there were like sleepless nights and like the
Yeah.
uh yes, it was a bit scary, but because I didn't want to ask people for funding my dreams. So
Hmm.
since I've already worked in the corporate job for a long time, so I've saved up money, and
Hmm.
my husband also was willing to help me out. So at first, it's hard because you're not making the money yet, right? You are an one man band, you're the dishwasher, you go to the shopping, you do prep, you clean the dishes, and then you still have to teach, right? So that was about like a year and a half in the business.
Hmm.
And then I said, oh, and then it started growing. And then uh, all I could say is it takes about 2 maybe to 3 years before you really could get and say it is working, it is really good. And now it's a blessing. The business grew very much, right? And I'm so blessed with that. And all I can say is just be focused. Focus on your goal because there's no perfect time to open up a business.
Hmm.
There's no right time. Whatever it is, there would always be challenges that would come with it. But as long as you know what you want and if you're passionate about it, everything is going to be okay. You just have to keep on doing it, keep doing it. Sometimes it doesn't make sense,
Hmm.
right? But in the long run, right? Oh, it would just click. Everything would click. I mean, I used to have a hard time looking for people to work for me. I'm begging because, of course, they don't know me. What is Marisol's Kitchen? But now you're having a little name, and now people are like, "Oh, do you need help?" Now people are coming, so it gets a lot easier. Uh, in due time. I'm so sorry. I'm
It's okay.
so, but yeah, just be focused, and it's not easy. It's hard work. It's not like a corporate job. You come in at 9, you leave at 5, turn off your computer. No, for
Hmm.
me, it's 24/7. But because I love this business, I'm passionate about it. I think about it even though I'm on a break. Oh, believe you me, when I go on vacation, all I want is gadgets to bring back for the cooking classes. So it never stops. And that's why I'm saying you have to be passionate because you never get tired. You'll always be resourceful, and you'll never work in a day, in your lifetime. Because every time I go face my cooking classes, it's time for me to meet new friends and to have fun and share the Asian cuisine to all
Yeah.
of them.
Wow, that's great.
Thank you.
So when so when I talked to other chefs in the past that started kind of out in their home or maybe in the private chef route, the goal for them was always to open up like a brick and mortar, their own restaurant. You decided to kind of keep that theme of like parties and event spaces and catering, and just transition that into your own space. So why not a restaurant? Why not start your own restaurant versus, I mean, I'm sure what you're doing is great, and you love it, and that's
Yeah,
awesome, but that's a different route than what most chefs,
yeah,
they want to have their own restaurant. So what was the thought process as you were expanding
yeah,
to think, I'm just going to continue this bigger instead of a
yeah,
restaurant?
yeah, yeah. So, I have a lot of friends that owns restaurants in the States and in Manila, and I hear what they say, and I also see what's going on. Well, there's a big change when pandemic came, when the
Mm,
COVID, right, where
hmm.
everything was closed, and there was a kind of like a paradigm shift into people going into restaurants. So for me, I just really want to concentrate on the cooking classes, private events, and special events like chef's table. That means you come to my place, and you're treated like it's treated like a restaurant, right?
Hmm.
The reason I don't want a restaurant is, first of all, the money that you put into a restaurant. First of all, the food cost. If you have a lengthy menu, you have 4 pages of menu, you make sure that those are cooked any time of the day that you have it in store. So that's a lot of food costs that's not making you money. All
Yeah.
right. Second of all, the staff. A lot of people now don't want to work. I don't know why. Right now, it's so hard to get people to work in a restaurant. And for me, the reason I want to just do my cooking classes is everything is quantified.
Mm,
I know exactly how many products or how many ingredients that I have to make because everything is prepaid. Everybody who comes into my place, all are paid, right? So I'm not waiting for money to come in. It's right
yeah.
there, ready? And so controlled food cost, controlled labor cost. So your profit is so high after that. And that is the one magic I think my business is offering. It's just like everything is controlled. And then I could take off anytime I like. I want to go on vacation because you have actually scheduled yourself, let's say, to make your numbers for the month. So as long as you're, consistent, it would be a profitable business. And I find my business more profitable. Just imagine one cooking class is it's a decent amount compared to a restaurant who will be asking for a $20 check. How many $20 do you need to to get
Right.
to just cover your food costs? And those two are not the ones. You have utilities, you have the rent, and rent is a big portion of the business. But in the same way, now that I'm learning things, rent, if you have the volume, has really no, it's okay.
Hmm.
If you have to pay big rent, it's okay if you have the volume. So imagine if you have a restaurant, you are have that, and you have no balance on how much money is coming in because you're waiting for people to come in.
Right.
All right. It rains, it's too hot, nobody comes to you. With me, it's raining, it's hot, people come because they're booking private events.
Hmm.
It's guaranteed. So I think that's the big difference.
That makes a
Why
lot of
not a
sense.
restaurant?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't think I never thought about like your cooking classes are prepaid. So even if like you were saying, unless it's severe weather, they're coming because they already paid up front. They don't want
Yeah,
to lose
yeah,
that money.
yeah,
And then because you know exactly how many people are coming in, your food costs are more controlled because you're going to buy enough food just for those 20 people
exactly.
coming in or whatever. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to start it in that way and to do that because restaurants are so volatile, right? You
Yeah,
don't know from day to day what your covers are going to look like, how many people are going to
exactly.
come in, and if you're not doing like a 12-course tasting menu where people have to prepay, they cancel reservation, you're out,
Yes,
but you still have that food and you're walking that's now going to spoil
exactly.
because it's not getting eaten.
And same thing for your wait staff. They're waiting there, like they're biting their nails and stuff in the corner, not doing nothing,
Right.
you know. But you still have to pay them because they have to work the shift.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference. And
Yeah.
and so I'm so happy that and also the experience, all right, of I've worked through the hotels and restaurants in New York City. I've seen the best fine dining, so I know how it is, the expense of running such an entity, right? So,
Hmm.
and the only thing too, with my cooking studio, we actually specialize on your experience. People nowadays prefer experience than just mere eating in a restaurant.
Right.
We and we act as if it's a show. Like I always welcome to the show because they're being photographed and all I say to them, just have fun. Don't forget about the recipe, forget about the ingredients because we will send you it through email. And once I say that like this, thank God. And now they're gonna start with their wine because of BYOB. So
Mm.
they're so happy with that. So the concept I love and I'll stick to it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I mean, it's working for you. It makes sense for the way you're doing things. So yeah, keep that up. That sounds like a really smart idea. I want to talk about a little bit of what probably kind of helped your business. Obviously, didn't hurt it, but what probably helped it. You had a couple of appearances on national TV on Food
Yeah.
Network and on Hulu. So I do want to talk about that a little bit because my
Oh
podcast is
boy.
about food and pop culture, so food on
Yeah.
TV.
Uh-huh.
And so I definitely want to talk about those television appearances that you had. So you were on Supermarket Stakeout on Food Network, and you were also on Buddy's Holiday Recipe Rumble
Yep.
on Hulu. So first, how did those appearances come about? Did somebody come find you? Was it an open casting call? How did that work out?
All right. So the first appearance I had was for PBS, Table for All.
Yes.
And that was a funny story because the producer called me and says, "Would you want to be uh, on TV with PBS?" Yeah, I don't have time for that. I hang up on him because I
Wow.
always say it's a scam. So he called me 3 times and I was driving. I said, "You know what? I was driving. I'm driving. So send me an email so I could read it when I get to my office." I read it and it says PBS producer. Like, oh my God, this is the real thing. So after I called him back, we clicked, and that's it. He says, "You're part of it." So I got to be in PBS 2 times, 2 consecutive years.
Hmm.
So because I got friends with the host, Buki Alagbidi, who is an Emmy Award winner
Hmm.
for that show. But for the supermarket stakeout, I have to say the culprit is my husband because we get emails like JS castings for Food Network and stuff like that. I never believed in that. I said, who would take me? I'm just a little Filipino in East Brunswick. Who would thought of like getting me? So my husband secretly put my name in there, and he says to me, "You might. Did you get a call from from Food Network?" I said, "What? What the heck would they call me for?" And sure enough, after a week, they called me. I said, like, "What?" So that was funny because they want me to give them a video of a little excerpt of how I do things and how I talk. So I guess they would like to see if I'm photogenic or whatnot, whatever.
A demo reel, essentially.
A demo, yes, yes, yes. So I did that, and then I even said a part of the video, wait, I'm not ready. And I think my husband was took that and put it in part of it. Behold, they called me, another interview, and then they said, "You're in," because they like the way I said that they look at my Facebook cooking classes, what my website looks like. I guess they find me legit too. So they called me, and then January of last year, they flew me to Phoenix, Arizona, to do the shoot for Chef Alex Guarnaschelli. It was a
Yeah,
fun thing.
yeah,
It
I
was a
watched
fun
it.
thing.
It looked like you had a great time. I mean, your personality shone through, obviously, in there. Alex Guarnaschelli took a liking to you, I think. Uh, but I do have some questions about the show itself.
Yeah.
The Supermarket Stakeout, if you're not familiar, for those that are listening, it takes place in the parking lot of a grocery store. They're not given a whole lot of ingredients. They have a small pantry, the chefs do. But the challenge is they have to approach these shoppers coming out of the grocery store, offer them money for whatever's in their cart, and then that's what they get to cook with. So there's 3 rounds of varying challenges, all all using the groceries from people that are coming out of the store. So the shoppers that are coming out of the store are are these like real shoppers or are these show plants? Because
No,
you're
no, no, no. The real shoppers, they really come. And let me tell you, it was nerve-wracking because you may have the recipe in your brain, what you want to make, but what if it's not in the cart? Then whatever's in the cart, you're just gonna rearrange whatever you think, and it's like and then the time limit, 45 minutes between acquiring the groceries, run back and start cooking. So yeah, they're real people. They are like, oh, okay. So
so their reactions of you coming up to them and saying, "Hey, I'll give you $100 for your groceries," are like,
yeah, yeah,
so that's like real reactions from them.
real reaction. And if you would see the video, I said, here's the money, I don't care, let me have it. Like I was just like, let me get going and let me get started. But it was such an awesome experience. And working with Chef Alex, she's a nice person. So I
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
that was a fun show. Now, in that show, I got to mention this. You took a
Ah,
nasty spill. You were running. Time was getting to you, and you just grabbed some stuff out of first cart, gave him some money,
oh my
and
God.
then you tripped over what looked like some production
Yes,
cable like
those
cover.
electrical things that was
Yeah, yeah.
like,
I
holy
was like,
cow.
oh,
They were like, Alex was, let me tell you, Alex was the first one who ran and says, "Are you okay?" And because all I said, "Oh, my eggs."
yeah.
I needed the eggs and my milk. And it says, "Forget about your eggs. We could replace all of those. Are you okay?" Um, I was not okay because it was painful. But you see, my brain says I was there to finish the show. So they're telling me to like sit down, do this, or do you want to go to emergency room? No, I want to finish this. So even though I was freaking in pain, I'm sorry, I was in pain. Let's do this. Let's do this until they agreed. Oh, okay, you're good. So we just continued the process, the last end.
What
So
was the adrenaline flowing through your body that you didn't feel pain in that moment, but as soon as the cooking stopped and you're waiting for the judging, you're like, oh, I'm sore now.
yeah, yes, yes. The next day it's like, oh my God, black and blue. But I, I say, I love cooking. I love what I do. So those things doesn't bother me. So the next day I was like, yeah, yeah. Even in the show, you would still see me like, saying hi to the people watching on the side because I kind of like have a little bit of, audience that are favoring me. So they're like, yeah, they doing like this to me. And like, oh my God, what an experience. Awesome
Wow.
experience. I
Wow.
enjoyed
You're
it.
just a warrior cooking through the pain.
I told you I just want to finish it. I don't want to come back and like, oh, they sent you home. I don't like that feeling, you know.
Right, right.
That
Now,
was
ultimately, you did not win Supermarket Stakeout. I think the judges got hung up on your final course there with the cookies versus the fritter. Um,
yes,
and
yeah.
and I, the lesson there, I think, is like just cook one thing because
You
you
know,
got judged on two.
that's what Alex said to me. Don't give them choices. But I had so much time. Even though I fell, I still have time and I could do make more. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking like, yeah, they need to taste this thing in my brain. Like, okay. But they do love my cookie from
Yeah,
scratch.
I think if not for the fritter, you might have won. I
Yes. Yes.
because they love that cookie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So but you know what? It's okay. I'm okay with that because I'm more excited about the experience. Of
Yeah.
course, winning would be the best, but there might be another food network. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who
So
knows?
let's talk about Buddy's Holiday Recipe Rumble, where you did win. Um,
Yes,
this was a little bit of a different type of show. You had two families with family recipes, and there was a theme to each episode. And the theme for your episode was a Christmas Eve
Noche
dinner.
Buena,
Yeah,
Noche
Noche
Buena.
Buena, Noche Buena.
Yes,
So it was you, your husband, and was it your son? I
my
think.
son, my younger
Yeah.
son. Yeah.
What was it like cooking with your family in a competition setting?
Oh my gosh, it's so stressful because I have to be nice on TV because there's my husband and my son. You know, I can show my biatch side.
You can't turn to them and say, "Get it right or pay the price."
Yes, yes, yes. But you know what? They did a great job. You know,
They
my
did.
son, my son was even got a big thumbs up from the other chef because she's just like, "Hey, you wrapped this really good and stuff." Because my family knows I'm such a perfectionist. You know, you don't do things half done. You have to do your best. So I said, let's just do our best. So and we got it.
I love how you gave your son the menial task of lumpia rolling, and it's like, okay, I don't want you touching nothing. Just do the lumpia rolling. But I mean, lumpia rolling is serious because I have some Filipino chefs that have restaurants and they're like, man, I got to roll like 1,000 lumpia rolls for tomorrow's
Yes,
service.
exactly.
So
Yes,
it's not nothing, but for your son, I don't know if he cooks or not, but you didn't want him touching the cooking process. Just
yeah.
I'm done with this. Just roll.
Yes, yes. All I want him is to really concentrate on a perfect lumpiang Shanghai,
That's right.
freshly made and freshly fried. That's it. All
Yeah.
right. So he did a great job. He actually did his part very well. So I can say that.
Yeah, both of those appearances, I think, really elevated your stature in the culinary world. I think
Uh,
you came off really good on TV, and I know probably locally in New Jersey you were highlighted a lot and featured in local news and stuff like that. How have those appearances influenced your business? Have you had people come to a cooking class saying, "Hey, I saw you on
yes.
Supermarket Stakeout, and I wanted to check out your cooking class"?
Well, yes, they do. So when they go here and then they would say like, "Hey, I saw your episode. It was so fun." Or sometimes I'm even in a grocery or other places. I know you. They would say to me, I watch you. And I feel like, wow, so it feels good, but, it's still about my passion. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. So I have a few things coming up, like exciting news, So,
Oh yeah. So while we're talking about that, that's how I usually kind of wrap up my podcast. Is I want to give my guest a red carpet here and just promote whatever you got coming
yeah,
up. So
yeah,
what
yeah.
future classes do you have coming that people should sign up for? Any
Uh-huh.
projects you want to promote?
So definitely, if they're looking for cooking classes, just go to my website. All those classes are posted, and then of course I'm with Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. But the best part is I'm producing my ever first cookbook
Oh wow.
of Simply Asian, and hopefully this would be out by April of this year. So we're going to be taking pre-orders soon. So this would be the cover of the book. It's a nice hardbound book. And then I just got notified that I was featured in She Wins magazine.
Oh, congratulations.
And this one is called Balancing Life and Leadership, Thriving at Work and at Home.
Wow.
So that's that. So that's the magazine in February. And then another magazine, Success Magazine. I was featured there to say how to turn your passion into a profitable business. So I talked about a portion of what we have talked a while ago.
Sure.
And that's that. I'm also the cooking studio is also featured on the magazines for travelers. So when you go off on a, how do you call that? Stop when you're driving, and those magazines. So Visit NJ. So we were there. So it's posted a culinary destination for Maricel's Kitchen. So
Nice.
you'll see that's there too. So it's getting really busy. I'm so happy. It's crazy. Like tonight, I have a big ramen class of 20 people. So we're
That's fantastic.
excited. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So what's the handles on social that people can follow you?
Maricel's Kitchen USA.
Okay.
Yeah, so the website has it, Facebook has it. So yeah, and I think I'm one of the top, when you Google it, that top cooking studio, and it's going to be maricelskitchen.com.
Maricel'sKitchen.com.
Yes.
Cool. Excellent. Excellent. So if you're in the East Brunswick, New Jersey area and you're looking for a fun experience for you and your friends to do, definitely check out Maricel's Kitchen for some cooking classes and sign up for those. I'm sure it's a ton of fun. I definitely want to check it out the next time I'm in New Jersey. Chef Maricel, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you having. We had some tech issues at the beginning, but we powered through just like you did on Supermarket Stakeout there. We powered through and we made it happen.
And thank you so much. I had so much fun doing this.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much. Thank you so much. And folks, don't forget to like and subscribe at Eat Your Content and at Rich Herrera, and follow on your podcast player of choice. Leave a review if you liked what you heard. Chef Maricel, again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. You too.